Every single time that I come back to Titanfall 2, I just can't help but think how underrated it is. Now I know, it's like flogging a dead horse at this point, but really, it's just so much fun. In what other game can you jump into a giant but also super fast mech suit with electrified stun traps, an ultra fast charging railgun that can pierce through 5 enemies while shooting rockets that spawn mini grenades? Oh, and you can do all of that while flying! So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, and that is Northstar in her ultimate form. With full Aegis upgrades, she is a force to be reckoned with and an absolute pleasure to pilot. I am Ascendance from 4FS Gaming, and we make videos on a whole lot of games and play even more. If you want to get involved in our community, please join our Discord server linked in the description below, especially if you play Titanfall 2 on Xbox, because I'm trying to put together more people to play Frontier Defense with, because these random matchmaking teams were not exactly competent when I was making this video. So, Northstar, here we go. In this video, I will run over what the Aegis upgrades to Northstar actually do, and then I shall talk about how I tend to use her in Frontier Defense. These tips will be tailored for hard mode and above, mainly around master difficulty because that's where all the fun is at. Now the first Aegis upgrade is a little bit of a gimmick. It makes your Tether Traps explode when they expire. The damage here is not super high, and it will barely do much to a Titan trapped by the tether. However, it does mean that if you have a trapped enemy and they are on really low health, you don't have to spend time shooting another railgun round to finish them off, as the trap will see that they do go down. Now this is important to some degree because on Master and Insane, every second, every little shot does count, and it definitely pays to be super efficient. When those traps explode, they'll also do decent damage to Reapers and any other smaller enemies in the surrounding area, so you can occasionally get lucky if you time it well and take up a whole drop pod full of stalkers, with no real effort on your part at all. Then we have the Chassis upgrade, and this of course speaks for itself, providing a 2500 point health boost to your Titan, taking Northstar from 3 to 4 bars of health. It is really needed as well, because you will take a beating above hard difficulty if you get close to any enemies. The third upgrade is the fast charge for the railgun, and this is where things start to really get good for Northstar. Normally it takes 2.3 seconds to fully charge a shot, but with this upgrade you are looking at only 1.3 seconds of charge. Now of course this results in a massive increase in your DPS output and puts Northstar up there as one of the top damage dealing Titans in Frontier Defense. Then we have the double Tether Trap upgrade, another essential that gives you 2 trap charges. This is really useful because Northstar is the only Titan that can pin an Arc Titan in place, as they ignore Arc Traps. And as we know, Arc Titans are a nightmare to deal with, so having 2 traps really does slow down their advance. Taking the shield upgrade will double your maximum shield strength from 2500 points to 5000 points. Now it is hard to take advantage of this unless you are constantly buying batteries or you have a friendly monarch around to keep you topped up. Then there is the upgrade which increases your critical hit damage. Now I couldn't test the exact numbers for this one, but my estimates from custom game testing mean that combined with faster charge time, these upgrades will over double your damage output per second as long as you are landing critical hits. Finally there is the Capstone Upgrade that gives you double cluster missiles. Now these are a bit different from the double Tether Trap in that when you fire, 2 missiles will go out, one shortly after the other. This means that you can simply use it to double your damage by keeping your reticule in the same spot, or you can double your covered area by moving your reticule between each shot. It's the really clever and nuanced design decisions like these that make me want to break out into praise of this game all over again, but I'll try to resist. So overall, a full Aegis Northstar is tougher, like all Aegis Titans, but she also has considerably higher DPS output. In fact, if you are hitting crits, it should be more than doubled, which is a stronger aggressive upgrade than any other Aegis Titan, except maybe Scorch. The double cluster missile does feed into this as well, or it can be combined with the upgraded Tether Traps to attain powerful area control. Before I talk tactics and tricks, a quick note on the loadout that I run with Northstar. For the Titan kit, I usually go with nuclear ejection. This is a bit of personal preference, but I find that it is very useful when you need that quick burst of devastation before losing your Titan. The Northstar kit that I go with is almost always armor piercing rounds. Now this really is a non-negotiable for me. The ability to reach out through multiple targets allows you to double or even triple your already considerable damage output. On top of this, it allows you to shoot through teammates that are also fighting further up in your lane. Although other kits are useful, they seem to pale in comparison to just how much this does improve your impact in the match. As for the Titanfall kit, you should go with the shield. Now, getting a sneaky warp fall on a nuke Titan once per match isn't worth losing your Titan as soon as it drops in, because you're not protected by that shield. So the obvious role for Northstar in Frontier Defense is lane control. This is really where she should be, sitting on a long lane, placing tether traps and arc traps to maximize the time it takes for enemies to get to her, and shooting piercing, fast charging, enhanced critical railgun shots to devastate oncoming Titans. When you do this, staying back is really quite important, as none of Northstar's damage abilities are made worse at long range, but up close she will still take a fair bit from the enemy. The double cluster missiles can be used to stack damage on groups of incoming Titans. However, they are also the best tool that Northstar has to deal with swarms of drones, stalkers and grunts. The fast cooldown means that you can and should be using the rockets very liberally. If there are no good targets in your immediate area, use VTOL hover to get line of sight to where your teammates are fighting and throw a rocket or two in their direction. You should really be shooting these cluster rockets almost as soon as they come off cooldown. There is really no reason to save them, as they don't do much to get you out of a sticky situation and they do recharge very quickly. Remember that your tether traps are basically the only things that can stop Arc Titans. This means you are the premier Arc Titan killer, as you can trap and kill them far outside of their effective range. On Master difficulty, this is critical, and on Insane you'll probably need to memorize the Arc Titan spawns to ensure you pick them off early before they get close enough to melt you. Northstar is one of the few Titans, along with Legion, who shouldn't mind fighting with a teammate in front of them, as your shots will be able to go through friendly Titans as easily as enemy ones. For best results, make sure you hit the crit zone on your first target and try and get 2 or 3 behind them. On higher difficulty, you shouldn't really be trying to fight too close. It's not like regular multiplayer where dashing and air strafing can confuse an enemy. These are AI, and while not clever, they won't be thrown off by such antics. If you find yourself close to the enemy, drop smoke and move back, or just say screw it. If you've taken far too much damage, you can nuke eject and always start earning another Northstar. Then there is the flight core itself, which I haven't mentioned much because it's exactly the same as the base Northstar's flight core, and because all of Northstar's other sources of damage are so much improved with the Aegis upgrades, this flight core can actually decrease your DPS unless there are lots of enemies clustered together. I recommend using the VTOL hover trick to double your flight core height, and using the core almost as soon as you get it so that you can start building towards another smoke charge. Make sure you zoom in when in the flight core to make the most of those missiles. I made a whole video on VTOL hover and how it interacts with flight core, so you should go and watch that if you want some more tips in this area. So the main role of Northstar is to hold a corridor, and she should be able to do this by herself most of the time, even upwards to Master difficulty, provided that you have plenty of arc traps and the ability to call for help if you need. But as a Strider chassis Titan, Northstar is also really well suited to moving around the map very quickly, especially for hunting mortar Titans along the edges of the map. Remember that you can also use VTOL hover to take shortcuts over normally uncrossable barriers, and to get off bridges. Okay, you should seriously go and watch my VTOL hover video after this if you haven't already, because it explains how to do this in a lot more detail. Now when you do get to those mortar Titans, throw some traps if you have them, lock them in with your double cluster missiles, and then 1 or 2 railgun shots later, they should be toast. Hopefully you guys found this video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to join our Discord to give suggestions, or just play some games with us. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.